Hello and welcome to another one of these ADD videos. Today we're going to be looking at factoring by grouping by checking out this trinomial equation. So hopefully nobody would just start guessing and they could see the benefit of a systematic approach to factoring this out. And that's where factoring by grouping comes in. So what you want to do, take your A times your C, and in this case the product of those is negative 180. Now you don't actually have to multiply it out. You could just have written 12 times the negative 15 and done a factor tree. I went ahead and multiplied it out. So let's see what's going on with the factors. We need the factors of negative 180, product of these two, A times C, that add up to B, 11, or subtract. What I suggest you do is you just go off to the side, and whether you multiplied the negative 180 or you didn't, what you want to do is you want to break them down into their prime parts and just try different combinations. So first, in this case, we know that it's even, so you can divide it by 2, and 2 times 90 is 180, and one of those would need to be negative, whether it's the 2 or the 90, it's up to you, but no way that we're going to get to an 11 by adding or subtracting those two. So let's break the 90 up further. Now we've got a combination of 4 and 45, okay? Either 4 or 45 being negative, still some difference is not going to get us to where we want to get to. So then we try breaking up the 45. So here we've got a 6 and a 30, getting closer. That's a 24 if you take the difference of them. Let's see. We already did the 45 and 4. There's a 12 and a 15. The difference there is 3. That's a little too close together. So let's break it down further. And you get 3 times 5. So now you can see why we didn't actually need to even multiply the negative 180. We're down to the prime parts. So you could have broken up the 12 and the 15 side by side until you got all prime numbers, and then just try different combinations. And then hopefully now you can see that 4 times 5 is 20, and 9 will give you a 11. If you take the difference between 20, that's 5 times this 2 and 2, and a 9. Which one needs to be positive? Well, if we have a positive 11 here, we know that our 20 needs to be positive. All right? So that's the use of the factor tree. So now that we know the factors, we can break up the 11x into the 20x and negative 9x, which still equals 11x, so we're not changing the integrity, just the appearance, just like before. So what is the benefit of doing this? Well, 4 terms. And what you can do is you can group the first two together and you can group the last two together and factor out the greatest common factor. Hopefully you can see that there's a 3 common to these and an x. And between these last two terms grouped together, we have a 5 common to both of these that you can factor out. So let's see what happens when we factor those out. So 12x squared divided by what we're factoring out, had over factor, gives me a 4x. Negative 9 by 3x gives me a negative 3. Doing the same thing over here, 20x over 5 gives me a 4x. Negative 15 over 5 gives me a negative 3. These are concepts of greatest common factor. Just go back and review that concept if you don't understand what I'm doing here. Now, just like there was a 3x common to the first two and a 5 common to the last two, you should notice that the 4x minus 3 is showing up in both sets of terms. So you see how there's a 4x minus 3 there and a 4x minus 3 there as well? Let's factor that thing out. If you notice, what's going to happen if we take this and divide it by what we're factoring out, the 4x minus 3's are going to cancel and you're going to be left with what's in front of the parentheses. That's going to happen in both scenarios. If you're doing this, you don't get the same thing in either parentheses. You either pick the wrong two factors, double check that, double check your work of factoring out the greatest common factor, or you just can't factor it at all. So you'll have to do something else to solve that. All right, so that's basically it. As always, practice, practice, practice. Key to understanding all this stuff or any subject you're trying to learn and make it second nature is to practice. Thanks for watching and have a great day.